So it means this is not a real switch. But later, this is the engineer write in the software and in this sensor. Later, if you want to use this universal switch as a condition, then you can use that. Later, I will show you how to use it. Then you will understand how to use that. And this UV switch is a very important thing in our logic module. And this is a versatile one. I will show you later. And also logic status as condition. Here, it says enable setting. It means if you want to use this sensor, you can enable the sensor here. If you don't want this, for example, if you don't want to use the UV switch, you can just disable this sensor. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay, sorry, let's continue. I have a phone call. Okay, so from here, you can enable and disable the sensor you want to use. And as for our temperature sensor and dry contacts, behind it will have a virtual switch. It means it's not a real switch, but we write a program in here. Later, if you want to enable and disable this sensor, for example, I don't want to use this PIR sensor during the day, then I can turn off this, use a button to turn off this UV switch, and then it will disable the sensor. So this is the use of the UV switch in here. We can use a button to turn on this UV switch and then enable this sensor, and turn off this UV switch to disable the sensor. And from here, this is the current status. We can go here to get the current status. Now, because I put a paper on the top of the sensor, so the lux is 0. Now let me move it and read the status again. You will see the lux will change. You can see it will change automatically. If you check this auto refresh box, if you didn't check this, and then you have to click this button to read the current status of the sensor. And from here is to enable the indicator. If you want the working status LED to be lit up, then you can enable this. And this is the LED indicator for the PIR sensor. You can enable it or disable it. And this is the constant lighting. If you want this, you can set it here if you want the constant lighting. And this is the sensor testing. You can test whether they can work properly here. Okay, now let's move on. Now we can go to logic setting. Logic setting here is I can make some conditions and also some targets. For example, I want a light in the corridor to turn on automatically when detect darkness. So I can set it here. For example, you want at night a light to turn on turn on and turn off automatically, then you can set like that. Then as this, we need to detect the locks of outside, then we can use this lux sensor. Now let me enable this logic table and enable the lux sensor because I want to use it as I want the light to a light to turn on automatically at night. So I can use this sensor and I can give this logic a remark. For example, just give a remark dark and then turn on light, turn on channel 1 relay. Okay, so I can know the condition and the targets here. Just my naming rule, you can create your own. And then if suppose the lux below 50, it means dark enough to turn on the light. And then click save. So I have set the targets, set the condition of this logic. And then I need to set targets, right? Because I want it to turn on a light. Okay, let me click add. For example, I want it to turn on a lighting. No, maybe a switching. Let me find a line. The first channel of the DALI module, a color temperature light, just for example, and add on here. And click save. This is when here you will find here we'll have a 1 2. It says 1 2. 1 2 means the condition. We meet the condition because our condition is when lux below 50 and turn on a light, right? We said that. Then 1 2 means we meet the condition when lux below 50. Then we want the light to turn on, means meet the condition. And here will require you to set when the condition, when we don't meet the condition, it will trigger another target. We want it to turn off automatically, right? So it will, you can just change it when false. When false means the lux is beyond 50. So it doesn't meet the condition, means when false. And then add a target, the same, because I want the first channel of our DALI module to turn off when the condition is not met. And then add function off. And we always recommend you to put some delay because at night, when the condition does not meet, and then you may want some delay. You don't want the light to turn off or immediately. You can put some delay here, for example 5 seconds here, and then click save. So that's how to use our sensors. With our sensors, you can set a great many conditions and targets. This is to use the lux sensor, and you can set like when detect a movement and then turn on the light automatically. This situation is always used. For example, you put a PIR sensor in the bathroom, and at night you go to the bathroom, it detects the movement of someone and then will turn on the light automatically for you. So you can use the PIR sensor. And now I think some of you already know how to use that. Now let me show you how to do that. Let me use logic table 2 as an example. I want to use the PIR sensor and also turn on channel 1. Channel 1 DALI. Okay. And now this time, as I want to use the PIR sensor, so I just enable the PIR sensor. And the condition is detect movement, and later turn on the light. So when true means the condition is meet, and then movement detect, and the target is to turn on the first channel of the DALI module, and then click Save. And also, when false, we want it to turn off. When it doesn't detect movement, it will turn off the light automatically, and then we set when false and add off. And want some delay, maybe 5 seconds, and then click Save. So that's how to use the sensor. Let me check if here are questions. Okay, no more. And then that's how to use this PIR sensor. And all of this sensor, the use of this sensor is the same. You want the targets. You want to trigger what kind of targets, and you know the condition, then you can enable it. For example, you don't want the lux sensor, or you don't want the PIR sensor. You want a UV switch. Then you can do that as well. For example, in logic table 3, you enable this UV switch. And then, let me make a UV switch. And you want when on, when the UV switch is on. I cannot change it. Okay, I just set an example. You want it to be on. You just when the UV switch 201 is off, is the condition, and then trigger a target. For example, the warm thing, the red of the RGB light add on here. And the when false means this UV switch 201 is on, and then to turn off it. And then click Save. As this is a virtual switch, it cannot just trigger automatically. You need to use a panel, for example, a DLP panel, to turn on and turn off this. Now, let me set for you. Go to our control panel, for example, our DLP panel, and use the last page, button 5, and then use single on and off this UV 201, and add the target is the UV switch of this PIR 7-in-1 sensor. You can see. Switch. Yes, this one 201 as an example, and add on here. And later, when you push the DLP panel, page 4, button 5, you turn on and turn off the UV switch. It will trigger the targets you set here. You set in the sensor. So that's how to use our UV switch. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, When here I cannot change is because, thank you Danny, because I didn't enable the UV switch page in the basic setting page. And now I can change a different number. So if you want to use the UV switch in here, you must enable it in the basic setting page. Otherwise, we cannot use that. But the way to use it, if you want to use it as condition, you need to use a panel to help you to turn on and turn off it. Or you can use our logic module to turn on and turn off it. And for the dry contact, in our sensor, then you want to use it, you can set it here. Because dry contact has two status. You can break it or connect it. It needs, for example, if it's connect with a door magnetism, and then it can, when you open the door and close the door, the dry contact will break or connect. It needs you to make the wiring, so it will automatically detect whether it is break or connect, and then you can set some targets for it. So this is our 7-in-1 sensor. And this is the security setting. But now, because we have our link gateway here, if you want to make some security setting, you can make in the security page. Even the user, the end user, can make in OnPro. So we seldom use our sensor to do that. In the security page, you can set in Studio for them, and later they can set for themselves on OnPro. When I show you how to deliver the project, I will let you know how to do that. Okay, so that's how to use our 7-in-1 sensor. And that's a very easy situation because you only have one target, only have one condition. What if, let's imagine this situation, you put the PIR sensor, this 7-in-1 sensor, in front of your in your bathroom, and you want this, for example, at night, when detect movement to turn on the light, but during the day you may not want every time you move to your bathroom the light to turn on. So how can we achieve that? Now let me show you how to do that. Because in this situation, you will need to use our lux sensor and the PIR sensor, and you will not want them to be able to use during the day. Because if during the day, every time you go to the bathroom and the light will turn on automatically, it will waste some energy. So we don't recommend to do that, and we can set with our sensor and the logic module. I will finish the first part during we are using the sensor, and later when we talk about the logic module, I will tell you how to use that. First of all, you can make a logic. This one is you use PIR sensor and the lux, and you need to enable this luminance sensor and the PIR sensor, and the condition is at night, means for example the lux is below 50, and the PIR sensor detects movement. Because here you will need to set two conditions, right? And you need to select the relation between the two conditions, because you want the two conditions to be met at the same time. First is to at night, and the second is to detect movement. So this condition must be met together, means this relation between them is and. because you want all of them to be met. And here is another relationship is all. All means if you set two conditions, you only want one of the conditions to be met, so you can select all. But now because we need two conditions, these two conditions to be met all together and then trigger a target, we must select AND here. And because this relationship button appear in the right corner here, some of the clients will forget to set this. So please pay attention to this. You need to set the condition between the two, set the relationship between the two conditions. It's very important. After you select this, and then you need to set the targets. Let's use the DALL-E CCT Lite as an example once again. So when the condition is true, you want when meet the condition, then turn on the light. And then when the condition is not met, you want turn off the light. You can change it here. And click Save. So that's how to use two conditions. And if you don't want this PIR sensor or luminance sensor to work, you can turn on and turn off the UV switch to reach the effect. And later when I talk about the logic module, I will show you. But in normal situation, you just want to disable this sensor. You can use a panel. Let's remember this UV switch number. For the PIR sensor, this one is the UV switch is 253, and for the brightness sensor is 254. Okay, now let me use this two button to disable and enable the sensor. Okay, this is lux. This is PIR. So you can press the button to turn on and turn off the UV switch to enable and disable it. Select UV switch. Okay. For the sensor. You can see this is the brightness sensor. As I don't want it to work, so I can just disable it to turn off it and then disable it. So in normal, if you just want it to disable it, you can select single off here. But I want this button to be able to enable and disable the sensor, so I use single on and off and add. And also for the PIR sensor, you need to PIR sensor add on here. Then use these two buttons. You can turn on and turn off it. Actually, from here, you no need to drag down. Here has more filtering. You can search the device, the defined device. Okay, for example, you know the 7-in-1 sensor subnet ID and device ID. You can just search here and it will appear. You can use the more filtering to find the target you want, and then click Save. And then you go to the fourth page of the DLP panel. When you push the 6 button for the very first time, you can enable the sensor. And press it for the second time, you can disable the lux sensor. Disable means it cannot work. Okay. Could you how to configure the light turn on automatically? Also can turn on light by also turn on the light by panel. Then do you mean the light can be controlled by the PIR sensor, also by the panel? Have you tried? Oh, it's easy. For example, in this logic, I use the PIR sensor to turn on the light, right? In this logic, I use this to turn on the first channel of DALI module. If I still want the panel to be able to turn on and turn off it's okay. You go to the DLP panel, you use a button. Let me select a button. For example, button 3. You can use the combination on and combination on and off. And when you add the light, the DALI, the CCT light, you add this target means you will be able to turn on the light, and then you can add. While you turn on the light, you have to disable the sensor, so you must disable the sensor. Just need to disable the PIR sensor, so it will not be affected by the sensor. You just need to disable it. You need to use the UV switch. You need to set the targets like this. Okay. Can you please try this? Because you need to disable the sensor, so when you use the panel to turn on and turn off it, you will not affect by the sensor. What is there any other questions from other friends? Please let me know. I can show you as well. When you turn off the light by button, then you also add another target. Enable to turn on the UV switch. Turn on the UV switch of the sensor. UV switch of the PIR sensor. So you can enable it. If you want the PIR sensor to work, then you can turn on the UV switch of the PIR to enable it. If you still don't want the PIR sensor to work, you can just turn on and turn off it. If you want this, then you need the logic module to do that. Logic module. Later I will show you. I will remember this. Needs the logic module to work together. Okay, when I talk about that, I will use this as an example as well. Thank you. So they will learn more from me because you asked. Okay. Hi guys, am I clear about the sensor part? If it's clear, then we can go to talk about logic module, so you will see more possibilities. For time to bus, I think stars it's hard to say which one is better, but please always use one of it to broadcast time. You can select whether the logic module to broadcast time or the gateway to broadcast time. Select one of it. But for me, I think the logic module is better. It is because it can have battery. No, the gateway cannot. And when power off the system, because the logic module can have, because it has a battery, I think it can still work. Okay, thank you. If no more questions for the logic module, I will move to, no more questions for the sensors, I will move on to the logic module.